Beez here on the WhatCulture Rock Show. I'm here with John and Tilian from Gavin Dance. So I thought you were going to be at the position where you had just finished recording your new record, but there's a couple of days left. Am I right in saying that?
Yeah, we the deadline was flexible, so we just we kept going.
Okay, so how's your 2019 been so far before we get into the record itself? Has it been a more relaxed 2019?
No, not at all.
Not at all.
We started off recording and then doing our kind of longest, biggest headliner ever, and then I guess what happened after that?
We wrote in the summer, and then spent a while doing that, and then we played a Warped Tour festival, and then we played in Vegas, and then we've been recording. And then we have Australia, so it's been full,
jam-packed.
So how long ago was Blood Wolf written then? If you were writing this summer, and of course we got to hear that song this summer.
January, right? We recorded
February. Or
late January we recorded it.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So I don't know when that was written. Maybe like November of the previous year. So it has been a bit. It's been sitting.
And both those songs were at the same time. So Blood Wolf and Headhunter were both recorded in January.
So was it a conscious decision going into the recording of those two songs to have it as this kind of two-headed beast prior to a new record?
Yes, but we were going to do it earlier.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, and then it just kind of got stretched out. They were going to be released closer to each other, and then things worked out timing-wise, like announcing Swanfest and kind of figuring out a place to put it, because we did the acceptance speech remaster too, so we just had to figure out where and when to release those.
And so do these two tracks give us any indication of where you're going with the new record? Because I like the reaction there, instant.
No, not at all. No, not really at all.
Yeah, they're closer to maybe what we've done than what we're gonna do on the new one.
Yeah, the new one's a lot stranger than those songs.
With the latest, with the latest full-length record being, it saw a noticeable, like from the outside looking in, it saw a noticeable growth for the band. Something that's quite bold is the way that it would be very easy to use that as a template and kind of not deviate from it too much, but I can tell already just from both of your reaction there when you're thinking about a new record and being towards the end of recording it, that is it part of your ethos to just always be moving forward and doing what feels right rather than fitting what people like? Because there's so many people that write for a fan base, or they're like, okay, that works, so we'll stick with it, whereas I think it takes artistic integrity to push forward into bold terrains.
Yeah, I think we do half and half, so we want to keep some of what's familiar and then add some new stuff. With this one, maybe it's swaying a little more towards things you haven't heard before.
Yeah, probably. I feel like you don't have to consciously try to do similar things to what you've been doing, because that'll happen naturally because we're all the same people. So the only conscious decision is, how can I make it different than the last one? And then it'll naturally be similar anyway.
So how do you function as a band in the studio? Like there's people that have plain sailing. There's and I guess it's particularly interesting talking to you two because you've got your vocal dynamics to consider. How is working on a Gavin Dance record?
Well, it starts with Will usually writing songs and then showing them to the rest of the band, aka Tim and Matt, and then deciding if there's going to be guest guitar players and whatnot. But we wait until the songs have been demoed. Instrumentally to talk about who's going to go where and collaborate. This time we collaborated some. Sometimes we didn't.
Yeah, it's like sometimes it's like, what are your lyrics for this song? And then where are you going to go? Okay, I'll work around that. And sometimes it's like, actually like sitting down and figuring out, okay, I'll say this here, you say this there, and then it'll be doubled up there or whatever. It's pretty unexciting when you like break it down, but the end result is usually exciting.
Yeah. Which is, I mean, it's fascinating to me because I mean this in a really endearing manner. You're a really weird band.
Yeah.
Musically, it's really odd. So, like, how is it fitting with a musical canvas like the one that's thrown at you, especially when you say that there's boundaries being pushed this time out? Like, first and foremost, I mean, the mind boggles as to what that means and where it could be going. But, how is it to work with that musical canvas? And do you think it's fair to say that Dance Gavin Dance are a weird-sounding band?
Yes, absolutely. Like, the newest song, I saw responses that thought that it was normal for us or something, and I always think our music's really strange, so I don't know where to go from there.
After we recorded Blood Wolf, we were just like, is this too weird? And then the feedback is like, oh yeah, this is just like straight down the middle, Dance Gavin Dance, and we're like, okay. I guess that makes sense. I mean, I guess our deep fans are more accustomed to the way we have sounded, so to them it's not as bizarre. But when you take a step back and you try to listen to it as if it was the first time you're hearing the band or the music, it's definitely bizarre.
Do you take it as a point of pride to be left of centre? Because I think that it's great to have a band like yourselves who are proving to be popular while being weird.
Yeah, I think we just don't want to be boring.
Yeah, that's probably the aversion to being boring.
Yeah. I guess we should... Tilian, when you go out and do your solo stuff, how much of that creeps back into what you're doing with Dance Gavin Dance? Because I've spoken to plenty of people, who go away and do things like way far away from Dance Gavin Dance. But like I remember talking to Nurgle from Behemoth, and he'd gone and done a folk thing, and when he came back to Behemoth, it caused a new vision. When you go away and do your solo excursions, how much do you bring back with you, and does it change your outlook when you're writing for a new record?
Not consciously.
Yeah.
I don't try to make it affect Dance Gavin Dance in any way, but I mean, naturally it's going to anyway, whether I want it to or not.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can get burnt out. Like, we have a side project called Secret Band, and I guess if I had written for that record and then made another one, and then come to Dance Gavin Dance, you might kind of be creatively tapped out potentially. So you have to keep that in mind in terms of, not burning yourself out.
Yeah, that's always interesting. Like whether it's a well or a muscle, like it's somewhere in between. Because I feel like when you are working out that creative muscle more, you're gonna be able to kind of do it more fluidly than when you've been stagnant for a long time. But at the same time, it's like, I guess lyrics come when they come, and they don't come when they don't come. So lyrically, I guess lyrically and musically, I feel like are on different planes. Like musically, the more you practice, the more you do, kind of the more ideas you're gonna have. And lyrics, maybe, I don't know. It's hard to tell. It's hard to be objective about it too, because different times of your life, you have different energy levels and different creativity, and there's almost no way to predict whether doing more music is going to make you more productive or more prolific or less prolific.
Yeah, I see fans say, you guys should take a break, because the quality will be affected, and it's really hard to say if that's true. Then we break 3 years for the next album because then our creative tank will fill up more and then we'll make a better record, or do we need to keep making stuff because we don't want it to atrophy?
Yeah,
it's a difficult, there's not really an answer.
When you say about emotionally and lyrically, what's made it onto this new record? And do you have to relate to one another as well? Because, if something has to be themed, one would imagine that you guys have to be on something of an emotional keel.
Yeah,
there's themes, but not all the time.
Yeah, and I think we've done it both ways in the past too. And this one, I think leans to more toward collaborating on themes than like, I don't know, Mothership. I feel like was the one where we kind of just each of us did whatever we wanted most of the time, and there wasn't really themes. And then Acceptance Speech, that's the first album we did. We consciously tried to do the same concept every time.
Right.
And sometimes, I don't know, sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. So this one is a mixture, but maybe leaning toward more collaboration.
And then there's songs where like a dramatic mood shift happens. So then the lyrics could go from, I don't know, sad lyrics to happy lyrics, and then they don't connect intentionally because the music is saying like there's a disconnect here. So then we make a disconnect to reflect that.
Yeah, that's one thing is we definitely listen to the music a lot, and we're inspired by the music because the music's written first.
And I guess this is a bit Psych 101, but would you say that you're similar people?
Somewhat.
It's hard to say. We've been around each other so much.
Yeah. It's intriguing that like 5 records of working together. Like your process, you don't have a set process. I think that's very Dance Gavin Dance.
Yeah,
right.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. Yeah, having a process, maybe like it sounds appealing, but then when you get to doing it, you're like, well, I think the only process is which part of which song do I feel like right now is the most appealing to tackle. And then if something is not as appealing as another part, then don't force that part. I'll do that later. I'll find another part that's more appealing to tackle. That's the only like definite process that I have.
Like, I'll go to the heavy song and be like, all right, well, there's going to be screaming on this breakdown here, so maybe I'll work on that first or something. And then he would be like, well, here's this clean, groovy part that would sound weird with screaming, so maybe I'll do that first. And then you start eliminating parts, and then you're like, oh, we should probably talk about what to do with this part that doesn't really fit into either of these boxes, kind of thing.
Do you think that is it just the case of there's magic in spontaneity, and that is that's the creative process more than anything else?
That's a good excuse for why we didn't hit our deadline.
Hey man, the moment just didn't come.
Right.
Yeah. So I'm not worried about it. The deadline part hasn't stressed me out at all during this whole process, which is nice because it has in the past where I'm like, I got to do something here. And now I'm like, well, we're recording it in LA and I live here and I'm just going to do it when it comes. And then
is that also a measure of happiness with the record? Like if there's a deadline and things aren't going your way, and like then it kind of feels a bit more like fearful rather than this is going great. Like if it takes a little bit more time, it takes a bit more time, but we're happy.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Mothership, I remember, was like, wait, we got to make this good because our career and stuff, and then things are going better, so maybe there's less stress.
Yeah, you find different places to draw energy from, whether it's like you have something to prove, or you're inspired by something, or you just feel like having fun that day. Like there's different ways to get energy, and I don't think it's ever the same, really.
I agree. Totally agree. So this year was the first ever Swan Fest as well. Is that also a measure of when I say like you're this kind of odd band that are out on your own, and like like when you start to think most bands you can kind of put in a scene, and I feel like you're a band that doesn't fit that mold. Was starting something like Swanfest kind of indicative of that?
Well, we thought like about half the people that came were going to come, so it was definitely blown away at the attendance.
Excellent.
I definitely felt like a weird moment of like, wow, you guys all like this, and almost like feeling like, wow, you like this. Do you like this more than I do? I don't like. I'm was pretty confused with it was just so much more massive than anything that we had done before.
Yeah, and I think part of it was like we only recently started getting festival offers that we want. So was kind of just like, I mean, a lot of it is also had to do with Derek, our manager, and the other people that put it on. And they believed that it would be really successful, and we were like, yeah, we could probably do that. So they kind of believed it before we did, and then it turned out really well, and we're doing another one. So.
Yeah, like the way that I looked at it when you guys, like when it was first announced, was it was like, well, this makes sense, because even when I look at, say, Spotify, and there's like metal, well, they don't really go there. Rock, like the terminology there for rock and alternative doesn't really feel like where you guys live either. Right. So, like, not only being your own island but having your own festival all seem to make a lot of sense to me.
Yeah, absolutely. That's been we don't really know where we fit in. So.
And I guess, is this going to be an annual event now? Because with the second one now being announced, and
yeah, it might even be biannual. We're just kind of feeling it out, like we did the first one, and then the second one, we'll maybe, if it gets a little bit bigger, then we'll maybe do 2 a year, or who knows, yeah.
All right, final thing then, since we're going to have to wait a little bit longer for this record. Yeah. A sentence to sum up the album for everybody watching that's waiting for this.
Better than the last one.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, better than the last one.
And that one was good. I liked it.
Yeah, same.
Yeah.
Reasons for us to all be excited. Tilian and John from Dance Gavin Dance on the WhatCulture Rock Show.